Well, welcome everyone to the October Hangout. I just made it before the end of the month. Um, nice to see everyone here. We'll just wait for a few moments while people gather. Um, but let me tell you what I'm going to do today. I'm going to, apart from having a nice chat with people, I'm going to go through some games between Magnus Carlsen and Fabiano Caruana from their Fischer Random semi-final match taking place in Oslo at the moment. Well, that match is over. You probably know the result by now, but I'm going to go through some of their games. So let me just say a hello to a few of you on the chat. Welcome everyone. Hello, let me write that in there. Sarah Haslow says, hello Daniel from South Nord SE25. Big up London SE25. Well, we're just a little bit around in the southwest. Good to hear from everyone. And well, we all it's great to hear from Londoners. Basically, I know we have people tuning in from all over the world, but it's great to hear some from some more local people. Hi to Bella Glavi Sup. So okay, let's see if I want to particularly hear from Londoners today. So if there's anyone out there who's pretty local, then let me know. Eches, that's very kind. Raju Subramanian is in Chennai. Nice to hear you, Raju. We got Siggy San, who's in Saarbrücken in Germany. Okay, well, I think Raju gets the prize for furthest away at the moment in Chennai. But I want to hear particularly from anyone in London. Croatia. Ivan says, am I going to play some games later? No! That's not my thing. I really don't enjoy playing chess online at all. Rand Hamid. Hello, Mr. Denial. It's Daniel rather than Denial. Okay. So I think Raju is winning the prize in Chennai at the moment. Johnny Bruce says it's a bit cold up north. Poland, AM in Poland. Cool, excellent. Jesus David Badio Herrera. Hello, hello, hola, from Deutschland. Ladislav says he's in the Czech Republic, but he's been to London a couple of times. That's good. That's good. I'd like to hear that. And Horvath, Liviu Horvath, who's in Ireland. Ah, well, that's a fine place as well. Rawand Hamid, don't worry. I forgive you. Oh, Chesslord says, hi Danny, we keep missing out on that pint in Dublin. Yeah, it's true. I haven't been to Dublin for almost a year now. I was there last Christmas. Bella Glavi wants to analyse the Queen's Gambit declined. It's been a long time. Has it been a long time? Okay, yeah, we could do that. Gallup says he's from Ankara, but he once lived in London for a year. Well, I hope you liked it. There's a big Turkish community in London, of course. One wood pusher from Tbilisi. Oh, wow. Fantastic. Okay, now, I'm going to press on with some chess. Oh, Gallup says it was great. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Listen, I'm going to show you some chess. So, this is the first... well, rapid. They in the first day they played what they called slow rapid, so it was 40 moves in 45 minutes. And on the second day they played 4 well, they call them rapid games, but they were basically 10 minutes plus 2 seconds each time they made a move. So, like I said, these are games between in the semi-final between Magnus Carlsen and Fabiano Caruana, Fischer random. You can see that here, well, check out this first move. This is unbelievable. C4 from Carlsen. Let me throw a question out at you. What would you play here if you had the white pieces? Just check out the baseline here. What would you play on your first move with white? Sorry, just checking my phone, folks, because I'm getting feedback. And apparently everything's working, which is good. So Rowan says G3. Edgar Flores says E3. We've got another one that says E4. Siggy-san says maybe D4. This is great. Raju wants to play knight B3. Got another vote for G3. I mean, it just shows you this is... When you play Fischer random, it just blows normal chess apart. I think it's interesting we've got 2 votes for G3. Bernd, nice to hear from you, Bernd. In Dingle, he wants to play C4. Well, C4 was the move that Carlsen played, so Bernd, you're in very good company there with the world champion. Ivan Bralic says B3, followed by knight C3 and E4 seems like regular development. Is anything regular development in this position? I don't know. It all seems pretty irregular to me. Listen, let's get on with the game. But I think that just shows the incredible variety and strangeness of the position if all of you, practically all of you, are suggesting different moves. Hello, Harris Nabil. Okay, Fabi played G6 and E3. And I've got to say, I'm not sure about the way Fabi played it. Yes, he concentrates on opening up the diagonals for his bishops. Queen E2 is interesting. This, of course, is about making sure that the king is able to castle very easily, very quickly. Knight D6, and Carlsen seizes the centre, and I think this is the problem with these fianchettos, that Carlsen has just been able to get the centre here. So if we go on a couple of moves, Queen H6, that's a cheeky little move. And castle, I'm just going to show that again. I like to give action replays of castling in Fischer random. So they always end up with the king and the rook on their proper squares. So there he goes again. And the king manages to protect the pawn. As soon as the king is castled, then it starts to look like a normal position again. And Fabi castles at that end of the board as well. But basically, we've got a kind of odd, I don't know what opening you would call this, actually. Queen's Indian, maybe? Where it looks to me as though Carlsen just stands better because black has no centre. So if we go back, I'm just going to go back a few moves. I have a feeling that, Fabi should have put a pawn in the middle. Or, for example, in this position, played C5 to challenge white in the centre, actually. And even when we get to this position, instead of knight d6, I don't like at all. It seems to me you should put pawns in the middle of the board. And you can still get ready for castling. Moving the queen out and then castles. But after this, it just looks to me as though Carlsen has a really pleasant advantage here with white. You know, it starts to look like a regular position. I know this bishop looks very odd, but actually it only takes one move and it's in a normal position actually. And now the game starts to look like actually a Leningrad Dutch. Well, you can imagine if this pawn comes to f5, then it looks like a Leningrad Dutch, and black needs to basically control some squares in the center, so f5 is coming. Greetings to you, Can Sakaryali in Istanbul. Fantastic city. There we go. After this, well, you can see this is now actually a regular position with the pawn on f5. It is basically a Leningrad Dutch, or you could reach this kind of position via the Queen's Indian as well. And Carlsen is just better because if you look at his king position, super solid. Whereas black's king position, well, there's certainly no chance of pushing forward with f4. And white just has great space. This pawn is a problem. Okay, I'd like to ask you my first question of the day. How would you play here with white? Rawand Hamid says he thinks Fischer Random is the future of chess. Well, I think it deserves to be a part of chess at the top. I don't think it should take over. Cancer Karyali asks, do you recommend Orgard or John Watson or Hendricks to read? Well, they're all fine authors, I should say. Depends what level you are. But I think John Watson is a very clear author. Orgard might be too high level. Depends what level you are. But he writes for a very high level of people. Bartomole Niemet says, fight for the c7 pawn. Yeah, okay, I agree, but the question is, how are you going to do that? Jens Peterson says, what about knight d4 to b5, as does Manoj Krishna? Yes, this is, of course, a pretty decent plan. No one has come up with the plan that I wanted to do here. What about this move? Carlsen didn't do this. And then rook c1. And after this one, because that knight needs to go somewhere, I mean, it has no other square, then I play e4. So I want to push on, so here, so black has to take. Now I've got pressure here. Bishop has to go back. Well, it looks to me as though white has a really pleasant position, and a very typical Dutch position where the pawn advances, but basically once that advances, it means that these diagonals are open and black's king potentially becomes target, whereas white's king has 3 pawns in front of it. Taka, hello Daniel from Tokyo. Oh, it's 4:15 a.m. Special greetings to you, Taka, in Tokyo. I don't know whether you saw, but I was in Japan. I was in Tokyo a few weeks ago for the Rugby World Cup and to visit some friends of mine. And I absolutely loved Tokyo. Fantastic place. I've got to come back. And next time I'll try and get in touch with the chess community in Tokyo. I didn't have much time this time, but amazing city. Just loved it. Mr. Mark says, why isn't the King's Indian played in top level chess? It is played occasionally. It's a risky opening. It cedes a lot of ground to your opponent. Top players don't like being squashed, basically. The problem with the King's Indian is if your attack doesn't come through, if the tactics don't work, you don't have much space. This is the problem with the King's Indian. Christoph says, Mr. King, you're a genius GM. I'm not a genius. I am a grandmaster. I'm not a genius. Can I have one day a chance to play on the internet? Well, like I said, I actually don't play online. I don't enjoy playing online. But thank you for the invitation. Right, Carlsen did not play f4. But again, this is typical of these big guys. This is very committal. They don't like to commit their pawns unless they're absolutely sure. And particularly as this game is 10 minutes plus 2 seconds, so they haven't got much time. So Carlsen played knight d4, which is simply a good move. He's not disturbing his pawn structure. Okay, if you don't mind, could we leave the questions about other openings for the time being? Because I want to go through this game. And I'm going to set you a couple more questions. So, f4 played now, and then he took here. Well, this is a way of securing, I think, a clear advantage, because obviously black's pawns are damaged. I just want to repeat, I'm going to go through this game, and I'll take, if you could keep your questions for a little bit later, and I'll answer them. But hold back for the moment, please. We're looking at a game. Yeah, white is just better here, and Fabi was in huge trouble. I don't think AlphaZero would like these pawns, I can tell you. These are not good, and you can see they're split and horrible. The only problem is that Magnus has played f4, and that can have an effect on his king a little bit later. That's why, actually, coming back to this position, that Fabiano played the bishop to e5, because he knew he couldn't prevent this, not sensibly. But at least he managed to provoke f4, which meant that there was a slight weakness here, a weakness to the king. It all makes sense. So that's where we've got to. And Magnus cashed in. And now, for example, if bishop takes, then this is just tremendous for white. So you can see white is breaking through here and still has an extra pawn. Harris, I'm going to answer your question a little bit later. I'm going through this game. So this is just probably a winning position, but it takes a little bit of care now. Taka says he wants to... I want to Stolong Japanese chess player. Like Japanese national rugby team. Oh, you want to be as strong a chess player as the Japanese national rugby team. Yeah, well, good luck with that. The rugby team made fantastic progress. Okay, I'm going to continue with this game. And, well, Carlsen now played knight c6. He probably should have just pushed this pawn. But he played knight c6, which leads to a good position. Hi, greetings from Poland. We're just going through this game, guys. Yeah, he has Japanese origins, Hikaru, but he's American. He's absolutely American. Folks, your questions or comments, I'm going to crash through with this game first before I take any more. Yeah, here he played Queen b7. Greetings to you in Israel. Taka correctly says Hikaru is not Japanese. Yeah, he was born in Japan, but he's 100% American. Queen b8 was crushing here, actually. But this was a really fast time control. So, for example, this and this really is the end, because that would have been decisive. Obvious question, why not b takes c6? You mean bishop takes c6? Where? In this position. I don't know which position you mean, actually. We flashed by, I'm sorry. Let's get to the position. Yeah, so queen b8 would have been a strong move. Queen b7. Let's zip through. Instead of queen b7. Okay, right. Well, I think it's probably a good move. Or is it? Bishop here? No, it's rook d6. Got to watch out for that one. Just a moment. Yeah, what if I play this? Bishop b5. This could be a good move, because if rook takes d6, I've got rook takes c6. There we are, there's a tricky move. So probably bishop b5. That looks like the problem to me. Anyway, let me zip on with the game, guys. So they reach this position, which should be winning for white, but actually it's not that simple, particularly if you are running short of time. I mean, all this looks absolutely correct. Maybe in this position, instead of playing the rook down to a7, which looks very natural, I wonder whether it would have been better just to play the rook over to prevent black's queen coming out here. But after this, queen b4, it started to get a little bit tricky with black's queen coming down. This is very nasty. I don't think Magnus really wanted that. And fantastic randomizer. Basically, both players were, down to their last few seconds, just getting 2 seconds increment per move. So this enables the bishop to cut back and to get in here. And actually, Magnus just took a draw. So the game ended like this. Computers say here that g4 was promising, but that is not simple at all. It can go very, very badly wrong. The idea is to do this, but this is still really tricky. So I'm not surprised that with basically no time left, Magnus took a draw here. We will move on to the second game in a second. But let me just go back to here. Okay, now I can take some questions from you. Can says, Wesley, in the Wesley So Yan Yapom Nishi game, showed that there are problems with casting in Fischer Random, thus maybe no... it wasn't a real problem. I mean, I think it was a slight technical issue where he just touched the rook instead of the king. I mean, this is something very easy to solve, just like in normal chess. Ravi Parami asked, did I drink any sake while in Japan? I did. I also drank lots of beer and lots of tea, and I ate some of the best food I've ever had in my life. There we are. It was a good trip. Digan asks, would I consider presenting Kasparov's route to the match against Karpov? Yeah, that's a good idea actually. At the moment, the problem is there's just too much to look at. It's taken me an age to get through Fischer's stuff, and I'm still not at Reykjavik yet. So it's going to take me a long time before I get there, basically. But there are so many top tournaments as well. It's difficult to find the time. And a question from our friend in Israel. So happy there's a show. My question to you is, how does it feel to be such an appreciated and popular YouTube personality? Golly, I simply don't think of myself in those terms at all. I'm just one of a number of people out there who do broadcasts. But thank you for that. I don't think of myself in that way at all. I'm just interested in chess, and I put stuff out there, and if people like it, that's great. 64 Fabi asks, who do you think will qualify for the candidates via the wildcard? Well, because there's a Russian organizer, I think there will have to be a Russian in there. So if a Russian doesn't qualify through normal means, then they will probably pick a Russian, which might mean something. It could be Karyakin. I hope it's not, because I feel he's had his chance, and I think it'd be more interesting if there were a younger player there. Or not a younger player, just a different player. I'd like to see Grishuk in there. But actually, I would, if Maxime Vachier-Lagrave doesn't qualify via the FIDE Grand Prix, then I'd like to see Maxime in there. Is that not like doing Danny? What is that not like doping Danny? Okay, I'm not quite sure what you mean about. You'll have to be more specific with your question. IG2D wants to see Vityugov. He would be a great choice. I fear that he wouldn't get there. They would. I think you need. Well, I'm not quite sure, but not sure of the criteria. But I don't think he'd be strong enough. Bernd says the English rugby team use some elements of chess strategy. Is that why I like it? Yes, rugby is quite strategic actually, I think. Yeah, I do like that. And like any team game, like football as well. I love football. The team has to work together basically. Same in chess. Tim Schulter says, what about Artemiev? Yeah, he would be fantastic. But again, I'm not sure he's going to have that opportunity. Athanasios asks, hello Daniel, more of a request. Sometimes the new banner with the ways to support the channel covers your annotations with quotes, anecdotes. Could you fix it? I think we're going to stick as it is, basically, Otherwise, you're going to have have me repeating it the whole time, which I'm sure you're all sick to death of. Mind you, if you all supported me a bit more, then I wouldn't have to keep repeating it. So here's my big shout out for Patreon. Here we go. I'm going to write it in. There we go. Do check out my page on patreon.com and look at the ways to support us, because I say us because it's me and my techie partner as well, who's in Germany, and there's two of us that run this channel, and basically if we don't get support from people on Patreon, then we can't do evenings like this. The channel wouldn't exist. So do consider the supporting us with a regular multi-contribution. You know, from $1 to $25 or whatever you want. But it's the only way the channel can keep going, basically. Right. I'm going to look at another game now. Cancer Karyali asks, which Premier League club do you support, if you don't mind me asking? Well, I support a championship club. So the championship is the division just below the Premier League. And I support Brentford. Come on, you bees! Right. Before I get dragged into more football and more politics, let me check. Let me have a look at this. So, Fabiano Caruana with the white pieces. We saw c4 in that first game, which ended in a draw. Fabiano played g3. And it seemed like Magnus was happy to claim the centre again and played d5. And Fabi once again played with fianchettos. And, you know, I think it's a little bit unusual. Brentford will not help the Patreon drive. Well, no, but they're good fun. Yeah, this is really interesting that Fabi persists with this curious idea of playing the queen to the side. I have to say, I don't like it. It didn't work out very well in the first game. And it doesn't work out very well here. g5. And Magnus takes the initiative. This is tremendous. And here, yeah, Fabi castles. And I don't think there's a necessity to castle yet. I think it's better to attack the centre. Athanasios Makris, thank you very much for providing the segue. That's very cool. Yeah, I'm really surprised that Fabi just went for castles in this position, actually. Because Magnus just gets a storming attack. He's basically castled into it. It's funny how, you know, in a normal game, I think Fabiano would have been much more careful about castling early. But it's like in Fisher Random, you know, your whole sense and normal reasoning goes out of the window. This would be an interesting move, to exchange this off and take this. I mean, maybe he just felt it would be way too risky with this bishop in the corner. But that could happen. You know, this is an interesting position. It is risky, because it's still possible for this bishop to emerge one day. But that would be chess from another planet to take there. Anyway, Fabi played knight e2. Rawan says, perhaps Fabi castled early just to get a normal position like normal chess. Yeah, well, it's not very normal. He didn't achieve his aim, if that's so, because basically Magnus takes the initiative now. This is just really nice for black. And castle's queenside, so that king has just hopped over. It's funny that Magnus's bishop is still trapped at the side of the board. I think it's hilarious. You know, if we go back to the beginning, you know, Fabi made sure that he solved the problem of his bishops very early on. But actually, Magnus has proved that maybe it doesn't matter. Makes me think of what Eduard Gufeld said, famous Soviet player, who was a big fan of the bishops. He said, I mean, I'm sure you've heard me say this before. He said, even the worst bishop in the world is better than the best knight. Typical hyperbole, but it's good. Split Rook says, Namaste, Danny. Am I too late already? No, you're not too late, Split Rooks. And I love your name. Yeah, so it's interesting that this bishop doesn't matter. Yeah, 64 Fabi says he'd obviously, Goofell had obviously never heard of the Octopus Knight. Very good. So this is a bit like desperation, actually, that he starts throwing this pawn forward. You know, he needs counterplay. But Magnus, I'll tell you what. Whoops, sorry. Let me come back here. Magnus, he's just not bothered. He just took this pawn. I think it's really interesting. Beta Benja says, you're in Feltham. That's not, Feltham isn't far away from me at all. Do you mean Feltham? Hang on, is that just a typo? If you're in Feltham, that's definitely the closest to me so far. Yep, Beta Benja, big up Feltham. I hope you're not in the young offenders. And Feltham is on the way to Brentford, of course. So what a fine place. Peter Bench says, I don't live there. Split Rook says he kept this name on YouTube to show my deep appreciation and respect for you, Danny. Good man, Split Rooks. So you can see that, you know, this bishop here does a fantastic job of just supporting that pawn on b7. It's really funny. You know, that's another thing that's often said, that bad bishops often protect important pawns. Well, that is an important pawn because it holds black's king position together. So let's see what's happening now. e5, Magnus storms through the middle. He can't make anything of this so at the moment, but coming through the middle should be very good. And e4, I mean, this is now absolutely tremendous. And now you have to ask yourself, who has the worst bishop? This bishop here or this bishop here? Well, in fact, this bishop on h1 is the worst piece, because this one can always come out via b6. Jake McMichael, hello from Texas, the Lone Star State. Nice to hear from you, Jake. Yeah, basically white has only one possible continuation here. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to you again. What is white's only chance in this position? What is white's only chance? Yep. Well done, IG2D. And Martin van der Hidde. Only move is to give up the knight. You have to give up the knight, otherwise there is nothing going on. And yeah, well done in Israel. And yeah. Steve Thorne, greetings from Northern California. No electricity since Saturday. Oh my word. Oh yeah, you're suffering at the moment, aren't you? Yeah, that's very unlucky. Hang on in there, Steve. Hang on, if you've got no electricity, then how come you're online? I'm confused, Steve. Tyler Stokes in Utah. One of the flyover states. Jake says tornado in Dallas knocked out power last week. Oh, man. Steve Thorne, generator. Yeah, he's got a generator. Okay, Steve, listen. I'm flattered that you should be using valuable resources on watching this Hangout. And I hope that things sort themselves out quickly. Bella the dog says, go Brentford. Yes. Jake, so gee, we've got problems in California and Dallas. Beta Benja says a young offender stole my plugs on Monday. Very good. Yeah, Brentford against Huddersfield on Saturday. Griffin Park. Steve, thank you. Listen, let me crack on with this game. Here, again, I'm going to throw this to you. What do you think Black should play here? What did Magnus play here? Black to play. NG says we have bigger problems in the White House. Yeah, ain't that the truth? Jake says queen check. Jake, you are as good as Magnus Carlsen. That's what mighty Magnus played. Queen h2 check. But it's not the best move. Yeah, everyone wants to steam in with the queen. But it's not the best move. What should he have played instead? Queen h2 is a good move, but there's actually a better move. Jake says, watch out for my candidate's debut. Jake, I'll support you all the way if you get there. I'll be your second. There we go. We can do it. We can do it. Yes, well done to everyone that said knight f5. Knight f5 is a good move because it's actually very difficult for white to do anything at the other end of the board. b7 is protected, e6 is protected, and we threaten this one. It's good for black. So Magnus gave a check, and then he played knight f5. But now white had a little bit of counterplay. Well, for a start, if the king goes here, we can take. And yes, it's not checkmate because of our lovely bishop, but still, we don't want to give that away. So Magnus had to play king d8, and now it's a little bit shaky. Still very good for black, but once you get moves like this, and you've got not much time on the clock, you've got to start thinking, ooh, this is tricky. But Magnus found a great move. What did Magnus play here? Black to play. Remember, folks, you've got to watch out for something nasty. A nasty discovered check. Yeah, we've got lots of people suggesting knight d4. Well done. Knight d4 is excellent. So let's see what happened. Queen h4, very important move. Oh, by the way, if king e2, then we do this. Watch that. And then that one. Whoop. That's good. So instead, the king has to come back here. And then he took. Now that's why he checked on h4, because he's controlling e7. Otherwise, it would have been checkmate. And black is better but it's still tricky. So there's a threat. So this bishop has entered the game. And, well, here Fabi collapsed. He played rook e1. That's a mistake. He should have played rook at f4. This is still actually very tricky. This is still a very tricky position. But after rook e1, rook f7. This is very good. And that was the end of that. And that was the end of the game. Yeah, if knight takes. Well, how are we going to finish this off? That will do, I think. That's quite good enough. And if I can't find a checkmate, then I can always just do this. And there we go. Yeah. So, Magnus won those first two 10-minute games. If we've got time, I'd like to show you a Fabi victory, but just for the moment, let me take a few more questions, because I know people are asking lots of other questions about all kinds of stuff. So here's your moment to ask a few questions before we go into Fabi's game, because I want to show you that one as well. Degan says, "Dear Daniel, don't you think that actually chess 960 is the future of chess? It's a way to avoid all the prepared steady games, go straight to an exciting game." Well, first, you don't always get an exciting game. Second, I have a slight problem with doing away with openings, because actually what I find very interesting about chess openings is that you can see the development of chess. That it's fascinating to see how openings have changed through over hundreds of years. And even in the modern day, when things are changing so quickly, it is very interesting to see new ideas coming up. And you can only judge whether an idea is new and interesting by looking at the past and see what's gone on before. So the problem with Fischer Random is that it sweeps away history. That's a problem. So I very much hope that Fischer Random continues. I think it has a place in top-level chess, as is being proved at the moment. But I wouldn't want it to supplant top-level chess. I hope that makes sense. Manoj Krishna says, "Daniel, for the last 2 or 3 months I cannot calculate long and sharp variations. I cannot focus properly." Listen, I can't help you focus properly. All I can say is, do the normal things. Get a good night's sleep. Try and play chess when you're not distracted by other things, whether it's, family, work. I mean, I know from my own experience I can't play chess properly if I'm distracted by other things. So there we go. Isolated Pawns says, "Where can I find your DVDs on openings?" I'm very happy to answer that. If you go to chessbase.com and the shop, the online shop on chessbase.com, and you put in the PowerPlay series, put in the search for PowerPlay series, or if you look under the various categories, you'll find PowerPlay. That's where you'll find all my opening DVDs. Let me see. Liquid Zero says, "Fischer Random or Chess 960 introduces a new history." Yeah, it's true. But still, I don't like kind of, starting at year 0 and wiping out existing chess. Jay Qualman says there was some problem with Nepo casting that needed arbitration. Can you explain what happened there? Well, basically, Nepo... Look, in the normal rules of chess, in chess 960 or traditional chess, when you castle, you should move the king first. But Nepo touched the rook, and the arbiters said there's a problem, you need to move the rook and not castle. It seemed a bit daft to me. It was obviously his intention. And the arbiter stepped in. Wesley didn't actually make a complaint, but the arbiter stepped in. That's all it was about. I mean, if it's for me, it was a storm in a teacup, basically. Let me see. Degan says, did you ever play the Fender Jazzmaster? What would you say about this guitar? No, I haven't. Basically, I've got my Fender Precision and that's that. I'm happy with it. Chess Blunderer says, what if the king's already on the square it needs to be? Well, I guess you touch the king first and then you move the rook. I mean, I think that solves that problem. Split Rooks asks, any new PowerPlay DVD coming soon? I'm actually going to go to Hamburg in a few weeks and record a new DVD on a new opening, and I will let you know about it when I get there. But it's going to be something that's dashing and romantic and enterprising and involving sacrifices, and it'll be great fun. Something a little bit different from my normal stuff. Pedro Assis says, what do you think about Chess Fundamentals of Capablanca? I think it's an excellent book. Yeah, I mean, Kappa is a dude. It's you know, you can't go wrong with Capablanca, basically. Craig Fraser asks, how many books do you have behind you, and which one or two are your most prized? Well, in fact, that's only a fraction of the books that I have in the house. In fact, you can't see it, but round in this direction, there are more bookcases and shelves with I have no idea, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books. Who's my favourite world champion? Well, I've just mentioned Capablanca. I like Capablanca because he was a bit of a dude. He was a bit of a, he dressed very elegantly. He was a bit of a ladies' man. And I like his style, So I like Capablanca. But I like Tal as well. They're all great. But Spassky, because he was a nice guy. Tal, I like because of his play. And he was very funny. Rawand Hamid says he's in Kurdistan. Well, and he wants to buy some DVD about Najdorf variation. How can I get it? Can I download it online? Yeah, these PowerPlay DVDs are they're also available as downloads. So just go to chessbase.com and yeah, the shop you can download them from chessbase.com. You can get them from there, Rawand. Do I agree with Tal that chess is addictive? Well, Tal wasn't the only one that said that chess was addictive. Of course chess is addictive. Is that healthy? Well, moderation in everything. Chess gives us enormous pleasure. If you're addicted to anything, then that can cause problems. But absolutely it's addictive. How long did it take me to learn German? Well, it's a work in progress, I would say. I'm fluent, but I'm not perfect. Jake Valman says, moderation in everything. Are you a closet Buddhist? No. I just know what it's like to be addicted, that's all. Bella the Dog 2 says, would you please feature some games by the late great Tony Miles? That is a fantastic suggestion, Bella the Dog. Tony was just a remarkable guy, a remarkable player, and some of the stuff he produced was extraordinary. So that's a brilliant suggestion. Thank you. Again, I've just got a traffic jam of so much stuff to look at. Bente says, yeah, there's an old Irish picture. Yeah, from it was from Kilkenny, I think. Yeah, it was a nice one. Let me see. Pedro Assis says, will I participate in a tournament in the future? Not at the moment, no. Because, well, our friend in India asked about focus and concentration. I cannot. I'm so busy with my work at the moment. Producing these videos, writing, tuition, preparing DVDs, commentary. I have no free time, apart from to watch the odd game at Brentford. But seriously, I'm overworked and underpaid. Do check out patreon.com and also PayPal. I haven't got the focus. You know, I'm hitting deadline all the time. And under those circumstances, I cannot play good chess. So I'm not going to play chess. I just don't enjoy it. That's why I stopped playing chess. Beta Benja says, let me know if you accept Patreon payments in beer. I'm prepared to risk that, yeah. Jens Peterson says, when in Hamburg, can't you ask the chess-based staff why they have so few DVDs by women? They've published more by Danes than by women. And what's wrong with that? Jens? Let's be loyal to our country here. And what's wrong with Danes? But listen, you make a very good point, actually. I have a feeling that they're missing a trick there, and that they could well produce very profitably more DVDs by one of the many strong women who are around. Richard Fox asks, I heard you had a guitar. Yeah, I've got a few guitars, and I play regularly with various bands. Play bass guitar actually, but I've got lots of guitars as well. What are 3 of my favourite tunes? Oh my word! Oh, Jens says he's Swedish. Fantastic. Three of my favourite tunes. Oh, let me go on Spotify and see what I'm listening to. What have I been listening to today? Today, I've been listening to Our Feelings, Skanga by Rupi Edwards. Now that is a cracking bit of reggae, I'm telling you. Rupi Edwards, Our Feelings, Skanga. That is just fantastic. There you go. That's what I've been listening to today. Apart from that, oh golly, you know, I listen to blues, jazz, classical. I listen to everything. As far as rock goes, yeah, Led Zeppelin, fantastic. I like some of Santana, Soul Sacrifice, Santana, Woodstock, hard to beat. There we go. 64 Fabi says, how do I rate Wesley's chances in the final against Magnus? I think Wesley has a chance, actually, because he's he's quite steady, actually. So Wesley has a chance. But listen, Magnus is the big favourite. Anirudh says he's waiting for more Bobby Fischer videos. Jonathan says, hi Daniel, I was good on my word and I just made a contribution to Power Play after you told me why bishop takes e7 wasn't a good move. Jonathan, that's very kind. Thank you. Yeah. I've just seen it. Thank you very much indeed. That's very kind. It's a guy who plays Soul Sacrifice actually in a jazz band. It's great. The other one I love playing is I played in a band where we did Oye Como Va. Oye Como Va is tremendous as well. Am I surprised that Carlsen passed on the European Team Championship? No. When you've got a Fischer Random World Championship, which would you rather do? Get a world title or play against relative patzers in the European Team Championship? I think Magnus made a good decision. Let me see. Oye como va, there we go. Oye como va. Yeah, and Soul Sacrifice. Both by Santana. Yeah, they're fun. They're good gig songs because, you know, you can play them for 25 minutes and it eats up the time and everyone has a good time, basically. Okay, folks, I'm going to do that one last time. Do check out patreon.com PowerPlayChess. If you contribute $5 a month, you get a newsletter and extra videos. If you contribute $10 a month, personally, I think that's the absolute cracking value. You get opening playlist, access to all the opening playlists I've got on the channel. So basically, openings, videos featuring a particular opening are collated on the channel. I think there are about 12 or 13 opening playlists that we've put together. And you get access to that along with a video overview of what's in those playlists. So if you want to study an opening, that is a great way to do it. You get extra video with puzzles. And you get a newsletter with a free test game and lots of other stuff as well. So do check it out. Yes, I will be doing another PowerPlay DVD. It's going to be on the King's Gambit. There we are. There's my reveal for you. Taka in Tokyo, thank you for watching. It's going to be fantastic. Saturday, World Cup final, England against South Africa. It's going to be amazing. Jake says, is there a list of available openings to patrons? Yeah, basically at the start of each month when we put out more videos for patrons, we will include also the whole of the available opening playlists. So don't worry, if you're a patron then contributing $10 a month, you get to see that. Okay, folks, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and I can see already there's a couple of guys that have made contributions via Patreon, so that is fantastic. I really, really appreciate that. Next Hangout just a moment. Next Hangout is going to be on Monday, the 11th of November. Let me put that in. Thanks, Alex. Thank you for subscribing. So next Hangout, Monday, the 11th of November. Do join me. And yeah, well, that might be a special one. We'll see how we go for that one. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I'm gonna close things now. Okay. If I don't know where the off button is. That's my big problem. I'm struggling. Here we go. Stop streaming. There we are. I've got it. Bye now.